Okay, thank you everyone for coming and joining today in our second class of Aparokshanubhuti. Thank you, Binduji, very much for deciding to take this topic again. There is a series of classes from several years ago that were not on Clubhouse on this topic, but I know you're taking a different approach given where we're at as students and with less emphasis on the Sanskrit, so we're very grateful for that. And also, of course, thank you for being here, Prakash. We'll have the usual format where we'll turn off hand raising and chat here during the class so we can keep our attention. And then there'll be a half-hour Q&A afterwards if people have things they want to talk about. And then let me just refresh us that above there is a PDF of a very small book that came out in 1938 that's also available from online from booksellers for a very inexpensive price if you want an actual book. And that has the Sanskrit, the word-by-word translation, and then an English translation of each of the verses of the Aparokshanubhuti, and then occasionally there's a word or a term that is elaborated on a little bit more, but there's not a commentary per se. And then what's in the chat is what you just heard me speaking to Bindo about, is it's the full Aparokshanubhuti with a 14th century commentary, also in Sanskrit. So those of you who have facility with Sanskrit can actually read that commentary as well, but this class is serving as a English understanding and commentary of that. So remember that you can find the replays here immediately, and then usually within a day or two, replays of this class and many others, as well as some of the discussions we've had with Binduji, are on YouTube at a channel called Advaita Retold. So unless you have something you'd like to add first, Prakash, let's turn it over to Bindo.
Welcome all. Thank you, Artemisha, Prakash. Let us proceed to the second day of the Aparokshanubhuti. Looks like the way in which I will be proceeding, it may not be a fast description of the verses. Anyway, let us take it as it comes. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrabhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. The invocation of Aparokshanubhuti. Sri Harim Paramanandam Ubadeshtaramishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. So, the verse which is now chanted, Sri Harim Paramanandam Upadeshtaram Ishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. This was explained and translated in the last class. Now I am entering in the 14th century commentary by Swami Vidhyaranya on this verse. Atra iyam prakriya padartau dvitaha. I'll go sentence by sentence so that, if I read fully, it may not be understandable. So I'll break it by commendable portions. It may not be full sentence. Sometimes it can be only part of the sentence, but which it will convey a message of the commentator. Atra iyam prakriya padartho divitaha atma anatma cha iti. Now here, Vidhyaranya Swami is going to give a Advaitic commentary to the invocation, Sri Harim Paramanandam. Here he is putting down basically what is the approach of Advaita and how this invocation is not only an ordinary invocation to the favorite God, but it is also has got hidden Advaitic philosophy which he wants to bring it. So here he says that here the procedure or in the invocation, the procedure is laid out by Shankaracharya in an indirect way, saying that there are two divisions, Atma and Anatma, that is the self and the non-self. Tatra Atma Dvivida. Then Atma has been now being categorized as two types from the point of view of our understanding so that we can reach the Advaitic principle when we complete the book and it becomes an experience to us. Tatra Atma Dvivida. The Atma is now being categorized as two. Ishwaraha Jiva Cha Iti. Both are Atma. Ishwara is also Atma. Jiva is also Atma. Now, here, Ishwara is translated as God, and that is the way in which Vidhyaranya Swami also has wanted us to understand that. Not in a Upanishadic term like what we saw in the Ishavasya Upanishad. So here, the God and the individual soul are the two ways in which Atma is appearing. Etav api divitau shuddha ashuddha vedat. This, each one of them has got pure and impure or pure and contaminated or pure and, regulated or pure and what you call attached to conditions. Shuddha ashuddha. Ashuddha means, actually the word ashuddha means contaminated. Here we cannot use the word contaminated because Atma is Shuddha always. So what is the Ashuddha here it is being talked about is with attachment. Now, what type of attachment are we talking about? Tatra Ashuddhau Maya Avidya Upadhitvena Veda Vyavahara Hetuhu. Tatra means, in this case, Shuddha Ashuddha. So the pure and the contaminated or the attached one. Out of that pure doesn't need any further description. Both the pure Atma of Ishvara and pure Atma of Jiva are one and the same. That is not being discussed here. But being pure, it doesn't need any further clarification. But what is being explained further is the Ashuddha, means the contaminated one or the Ashuddha part of it. That is that Maya Avidya Upadhitvena. The Ishvara is conditioned or Ishvara is contaminated or Ishvara is limited or is with the attachment of Maya. That Ishvara is the one which becomes the Srishtikarta or the creator. Whereas Maya is the Shakti of Ishvara, it cannot be pure. The Shakti is a guna or a qualification. Therefore, Ashuddha is called. That is why it is mentioned as Ashuddha. Not because of Maya is going to contaminate Ishvara. Here when we say Maya, Maya is a Shakti of Ishvara as a quality. Therefore, the quality is the reason why it is becoming called Ashuddhi here. And Jiva is what is called here as Avidya Upadhitvena. Avidya Upadhi means here the Upadhi means instrument or the container in which the Atma is performing or Atma is expressing itself. That is the word Upadhi you have to take here. Avidya is the Upadhi. That means ignorance. The ignorance, as we know, has got the three aspects of Ajna, ignorance, then doubt and wrong knowledge. So all the three are contained in the Upadhi. That is the reason why Veda Vyavahara Hetu, being associated, becomes where the reason why the differentiation between the Ishvara and the Jiva. Even though Ishvara and Jiva are the Atma only, that Atma itself is becoming what is called Shuddha and Ashuddha due to the Upadhi. Therefore, the Upadhi difference is the reason why both of them are working as separate and not able to be in the same function, even though both of them are nothing but Atma. Therefore, Veda Vyavahara Hetu. Shuddha tu Abheda Vyavahara Hetu. In the pure form, there is not any distinction between the Ishvara and the Jiva. This is the place where most of the people are not able to understand, but why is the Jiva, the individual soul or individual Atma, and the God are not separate. Why are you comparing them together and saying that there is no distinction between them? Tata anatma api trivita. Therefore, likewise, anatma api. Anatma means the atma and anatma we have divided into two. That Brahman, Atma, Anatma. Atma is Ishvara and Jiva, and each of them are Shuddha and Ashuddha. And Shuddha, there is no distinction between Ishvara and Jiva. And Ashuddha, there is a difference because of the container in which they are functioning, or the contamination, which is the reason why they are being differentiated. Ishvara has got a power of Maya, whereas Avidya is the reason why the Jiva is not able to identify himself with Ishvara, even though they are both same Atma only. Now, Anatma Trivita, the non-self or the Anatma is in three type. What are they? Sariratrayam iti vyavaharyate. In the reason why they are functioning with the three: causal, subtle, and gross. The causal body, the subtle body, and the gross body. So, if you want to understand, the causal body is the deep sleep body. Subtle body is the dream body. Gross body is the waking body. Now, this is the three forms in which Anatma has been categorized. And which, because of these three, there is transaction at each of the body level, which correspond to the three body or is Shariratraya. Evam Chit Jada Rupa Vailakshanyat Tamaprakashayoriva Vibhaktayoho Ubayoho Atma Anatmanoho Vivekaha Evam Bandhakarana. Aviveka Eva Bandhakarana. Due to the fundamental difference, there is a fundamental difference between Chit and Jada, the consciousness and matter. Atma is Chit and Anatma is Jada. So therefore, there is a fundamental difference between Atma and Anatma. Therefore, they are tamaprakashayoriva, like the light and darkness, vibhaktayoho, ubayoho, atma anatmaho, avivekaha eva bandhakaranam. What happens is that even though they are light and darkness, separate from each other, this Atma and Anatma, that Viveka, that the nature in which we deal with this as there is Atma, there is Anatma, that, the rock and the stone and the mountain are Jada Vastus. And like that, when we are making differentiation, it is a form of Aviveka, actually speaking. But here it is saying that Viveka, where we make the differentiation between the Chit and Jada, or the consciousness and the matter. When we make a difference between the consciousness and matter, we are having a knowledge that they are separate and not identical or not coming from the same source. Or the differentiation is the reason why, bandhakaranam means is the reason why for the bondage. The bondage here is, what is being talked about is that limitations being felt and the consequences of the limitation, like happiness, sorrow, etc., what is being felt. These are all the reason why the bondage is felt in the self and non-self. This differentiation of creating self and non-self is the reason why we are getting into the bondage. Tayoho vivekahastu moksha karanam iti dik. Between that viveka and aviveka, that is knowledge and ignorance. Vivekastu, it is the right knowledge. Moksha karanam iti. That is the only one which is possible to redeem us or emancipate us or free us, giving us the freedom of the nature of Atma, only can be done by Viveka, means right knowledge. Because Aviveka eva bandhakaranam. And that Aviveka is in the form of Viveka as Jada, Atma Jada, Chit Jada. That differentiation what we are creating in our transaction, that is, these are all conscious matter, these are all inert matter or matter like that. That knowledge itself is a aviveka, is the reason why we are feeling bonded. But when it is being eradicated with the right knowledge, after going through the teaching or the studies, when we realize that why we are making this distinction or where the distinction or the source for this distinction is coming from, when we understand that and when we get convinced about it, then the knowledge which eradicated the separation between the Atma and Anatma, when that is nullified or dissipated, we realize the bondage is a imagination we had due to ignorance, and we are ever free and we are never bound by any of the conditions whatsoever. Iti dik means is the direction in which it is being indicated. Tatra tavat aham shabdena dehatraya shishtatvena ashuddha jivaha asya eva akrishtatvad tam namami. Now the word tam namami means is referred to as I am bowing down, or I am prostrating, or I am, giving respect. Now, here, what is the statement before that? Tatra, in this, now or then, the word aham, what is meant is the impure jiva, associated with the three bodies of gross, subtle and causal. That is Stula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira. When I associate myself with the waker, dreamer and the deep sleeper, I become the individual aham. This is because we are never able to experience or know what we are without these three bodies. It is this owning by these three bodies, or jiva owning the three bodies, both way. Iteretero adhyasaha. It is mutual superimposition. The jiva thinks it is the sharira thinks it is the doer, and he is the consciousness. It is there in the consciousness, in the body. So therefore, this immediate and apparent owning by these two is the referred I, or the aham, or the jiva. What happens is that without the sharira, we cannot ever think who we are. The thinking happens in the waking. In the waking, without identifying with the body or the mind or the intellect, we can never experience anything of our own existence. Therefore, in the transactional world of waking, we depend on the body, and that is the owning of the body. And the body owns the Atma, saying that all the work is being done by the body, but the body merely by itself cannot function. We know that a dead body cannot function, do anything. Therefore, there is this apparent mutual superimposition between the two. Tam Maya tatkarya hedutve api tad ashraya bhudatvena sarvakaranam vedanta prasiddham ishwaram etasya eva sarvotkrishtatvat namami namaskaromi swatmatvena anusandadami ityartha. Why I read it is a long sentence is because I cannot break it. The reason is that tam means to him or to that Ishvara. Maya tatkarya hedutve api. Even though that Ishvara has Maya and it is a cause, hedutvam api, in the Ishvara for the creation. Ito va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivandi yat pravyante avistam vishanti. This we heard, from which the creation takes place, who sustains the life, and into which the whole life is merging back. This idea is what is there in the Taittiriya Upanishad, is used by the dualistic school also when they call Ishvara as the Srishtikarta or the creator of the world. So therefore, here the Ishvara with the Maya as a karyam or the cause, and hetutva, tat karyam, Maya tatkarya hedutva apiran. Both are there. When Ishvara is associated with the Maya, is a karyam from Brahman. It is not Shuddha Brahman. It is not the pure Brahman we are talking about. Here we are talking about Hiranyagarbha or the Pratamaja or the first Ishvara, who had their later being created. we become the cause for the creation. Therefore, what happens is Maya tatkarya hedutve api tad ashraya bhudatvena, and every created materials apart from Ishvara himself, everyone is indebted or dependent on Ishvara. Ashraya bhudatvena, because we are all ashraya. Because we ourselves cannot change the climate, we ourselves cannot bring rain or heat or cold or, even if we sow the seeds, the germination and the growing of the vegetables for us as food, etc. All of these are being controlled by the Ishvara because he is the creator. So the food is created by him. The rain is created by him. The heat is created by him. The rotation, revolution of the earth, everything is done by him. Therefore, ashraya bhudatvena. We are all dependent. The whole world or the whole cosmos is dependent upon Ishvara. Sarva karanam. And it is the cause for everything. Therefore, ashrayatvam. It is not because we are dependent upon because he is a creator. Sarva karanam. Every causation that is happening subsequently for the life to be sustained in the world or for the life to be continued in this world, there is a dependency on the Ishvara. Therefore, he is called Sarvakaranam. But at the same time, Vedanta Prasiddham Ishvaram. He is also equally well written or well proclaimed or well announced in the Vedanta as Ishvara. Because Ishavasam idam sarvam. There, even though Shankaracharya himself has written it as that is Brahma, but here he is using the word Vedanta Prasiddham Ishwaram. Because in another place, he uses Parameshwaram, Mayinam to Maheshwaram. Like that, there is Upanishad is also talking about Ishvara. When we come to Brihadaranya Upanishad, we will learn about it. So, Ishvara is Vedanta Prasiddham. Etasya eva sarvotkrishtatvad. Etasya eva. This Ishvarasya or of the Ishvara itself is sarvotkrishtatvad. Sarvotkrishtam means he is the supreme greatness. So, even though we are having the support or the ashraya on the Ishvara, we are not independently capable of doing things. And one who can do everything is Ishvara. Because entire creation is by him. Therefore, he is the supreme great person, Sarvottamatvad. Aham namami. Therefore, I am the jiva which is limited. I feel that I am limited because I have to depend upon Ishvara for that. Namaskaromi. Again, the namami, namaskaromi, both are the same meaning. Swatmatvena anusandadami ityartaha. I surrender to him and recognize him as my very own self. Swatmatvena. This is where the Swatmikaranam, some Swamshikaranam, what I am talking about. When we are doing prayer to God, we always praise a God who is different from us, located in different place and time, and all powerful, controlling everything around me. This dichotomy will not give us the freedom from the bondage unless and until we should understand through the Vedantic principle that the pot which has come out from the mud cannot be different from mud, ornaments which has come from gold cannot be different from gold. Same way, the Ishvara and Jiva, which has come out from the Brahman, or which is appearing as separate, Tatrishtua Tadevanu Pravishyad. That mantra you should remember. When that mantra we know it, then only we can recognize him as my very own self. Swatmatvena. This is very important for us to understand where we are heading. Even though it is a very minute statement by Vidhyaranya in his commentary, that Swatmatvena Anusandadami, that one word is talking the summary of all the Upanishads. Then he goes on to explain what is Srihari. Tasyeva sarvotkrashtatvena anusandana yogyatvam aha Srihari. So Srihari is the name which is being given to this all great, the supreme great, sarvatmatva, sarvotkrashtatva, anusandana yogyam. When I have to recognize him as my own, that is why I call him Srihari. Why should I call him Srihari? Tam yadva eva sarvadishtanataya Sririti uchyate. Shrihi iti uchyate. Tam yadva evam sarvadishtanataya. He who bears or embodies Sri, auspiciousness, glory or prosperity. Sri, Shivam, all these words are meaning the same. So, Shri iti uchyate, Sri iti uchyate, Sri Hari, Sri Harim Paramanandam. That is how he started it, no? So that Sri is being now referred here as one who bears or embodies the auspiciousness, glory and prosperity. This can also be understood as Sriyam Dadanam ityartaha. Sriyam Dadanam means he who is the refuge and possessor of Sri. He who is the refuge and the possessor of what is Sri? Sarvotkrashta Anusandana Yogyam. Therefore, Sarvadishtanataya. Here, Sri has also a meaning, Lakshmi. Lakshmi is standing for spiritual wealth. Not the wealth which we are thinking of, progeny, wealth, land, money, etc. For the spiritual seeker, Sri is spiritual wealth. Now, the spiritual wealth is what is coming in the Shat Sambati. That is the Sambati what we are talking about. Samadama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam, all those things will come there. Therefore, that who takes refuge and possesses Lakshmi or the spiritual wealth, so he is the person who can bestow with the spiritual wealth. Because even the Lakshmi, who is the spiritual wealth, takes refuge in him, and he is the better half of Lakshmi. Otherwise, yadva ashrayataya shriyate svikriyate pralaya sushuptao adau sarvabhutai iti. There is one more meaning to that. What is that? Shriyate. That is a verb. Shriyate means what is that? Svikriyate, one who accepts or one who allows the merging or diminishing or dissolving of what? Pralaya sushuptadau sarvabhutau. During the pralaya means delusion or sushupti or in the deep sleep, sarvabhutai, all that which has been created is dissolved or merges back, shriyate, svikriyate, or he is the one who is accepting it. Therefore, the Upanishadic mantra which we discussed in the last, Yatova imani bhutani jayante, from where all the creation is coming. Eta jatani jivanti, whatever have been brought into the creation, they exist due to its existence, or it is existing and thriving because of existence of from where it has come. And where they all dissolve back. So that dissolving back happens 2 times. As per the experiences, it merges back in the event of Sushupti for us. And then there is something called Pralaya. Pralaya means deluge. Actually speaking, it's deluge. There is a deluge after every 4 quarters, 4 cycles. The Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. All those 4 yugas, when they complete one cycle, then it goes into a delusion, state of delusion, where everything merges back into Brahman. And then the 4-faced Brahma is created first. And then that Brahma subsequently creates everyone. This is the story in the Vishnu Purana. So based on that, Pralaya is the time when the 4 timing, or which is called the Kala, when they dissolve. Now, if you look into our Advaitic principle, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti are the 3 Kalas which we are knowing that. But we also know there is a Sakshi, which is present in the Jagrat, in the Swapna and the Sushupti. When all the 4 do not have independent existence, and they all, including the Sakshi, dissolves at a state, and that state is called Sri Hari, or the one who allows everything. So he is the Brahman himself. So he who is accepted, grasped Sriyate, all beings even during dissolution and in deep sleep, is called Sri Hari. Sri Jivatva Upadibhuta Avidya Tam Harati Atmajnana Pradhanena Nasyati Iti. That is also another meaning of Sri. What is Sri? Jivatva Upadibhuta Avidya. This Avidya is Upadibhuta, by generated out of the instrument of the Jiva. Jiva is now associating himself with the Upadi, or with the instruments he has got. That is the Karana Sharira, Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, etc. So that is what is called Jivatva Upadi Bhuta Avidya. Tam Harati. So Hari, Harati iti Hari. One who destroys this avidya. Atmajnana Pradhanena Nasyati ityartaha. By bestowing the knowledge of Atmajnana, or the knowledge about the self. Therefore, Sri Hari is, now Sri is what is the avidya or Maya. So Sri Harati, it is Sri Hari. Therefore, it is a compound word. When it is taken as a compound word, he becomes the destroyer of Sri, and here Sri is not the spiritual wealth, but here Sri is taken as the Avidya Rupini. The Sri is the Avidya Rupini in the Jiva and Maya Rupini in the Ishvara. So Atma Jnana Pradhanena, by bestowing the knowledge about Atma and Ishvara, it harati means destroys. Nashayati ityartaha. So he is the one who is destroying the ignorance in us by bestowing the knowledge of Atma or the true knowledge. Sri Harihi. Tam yadva eva sarvadishtanataya Sri Riti Uchyate Srihi eva Srihi eva Hari. So now Sri Hari, Tam, that Hari, Sarvadishtanataya is the support for or the substratum for everything, all the creation. So bestowal of the Atmajnana by the knowledge, he destroys the avidya and he becomes the substratum and destroyer of ignorance, becomes the ultimate support for all us, or the support means the only person whom we can go for a support. He only can give us the support. Not only the support for our existence, support for our experiences, support of the knowledge through which we experience everything, but he is the one who can also destroy the ignorance in the knowledge with which we are experiencing the separation from him and a separation from the other things in the world. Therefore, highlighting the non-duality of Ishvara as Sri Hari himself, Tam, there is a question which is now coming. Tam, nanu kim ena avidya karya harane iti ashankya parama purushartha praptir bhavati iti suchayitum tasya paramananda rupatam aha. Sri Harim Paramanandam. That word Paramanandam has been used. So now he is explaining the word Sri. After explaining Sri Hari, he is going to explain what is Paramanandam. Now question might arise. What is the point of just destroying avidya and its effects? That is what is said by Nanu kim ena avidya tatkarya haranena iti ashankya. If you have a doubt on that time, the answer is given. Through the destruction, one attained the highest human goal, Parama Purushartha. So, one of the four Parama Purushartha is Mumukshutva. And for Mumukshutvam or liberation, freedom, we need freedom from ignorance. Therefore, what he is talking about, the highest human goal, Parama Purushartha, as the Mumukshutva. Paramaha avinashitva niratishayatva abhyam utkrishtaha anandam. Paramaha, the word paramaha, parama, ananda, there are two words in it. Extreme or supreme, parama means supreme. Ananda means bliss. We know that. No, but what is the word parama? How does it come from? Avinashitvam. It has no destruction. Therefore, it is supreme. Plus, niratishayatvam also is there. What is niratishayatvam? Incomparable. There is no comparison which is possible in that state of bliss. Therefore, supreme, incomparable bliss, Paramanandam. This refers to that. which is beyond decay. Avinashi is beyond decay and unsurpassable, niradishayatvam. A unique kind of joy, sukha vishesha. That is what Vidhyaranya is doing. That is his very nature. That Sri Hari nature, Sri Harim Paramanandam is the adjective for Sri Hari there. So it is a sukha vishesha. It is a kind of joy or a kind of bliss or kind of happiness which is without decay and unsurpassable. This happiness is not something known to us, because all happiness or joy or bliss which is known to us has got decay. It has a beginning in time, a extent where we enjoy it, and there is a diminishing and destruction. Therefore, it is within the realm of decay. And unsurpassable bliss, we cannot even imagine, because each happiness surpasses the other one for us. And they are comparable. Sometimes we get lesser happiness, sometimes we get higher happiness. There is the higher and lower. That is why Adishaya means higher and lower. So Niradishaya means there is no higher and lower. It is in a state of extreme unsurpassable nature of joy, which is not in human experiential level. Therefore, a kind of unique joy, Sukha Vishesha, is the nature of Sri Hari. So all those things are now Sri Harim Paramanandam has been explained. Tarhi Vishayika Sukha Vat Jadaha Syad Ityataha Aha Upadeshtaram Iti. Then an objection can rise. Would Ishvara or the self be inert like the worldly pressures, Vishayika Sukha? Because Vishayika Sukha, we are familiar with the Vishayika Sukha. They are inert in the sense they are attached to the objects. The objects are giving us the happiness. Objects means anything other than the subject. I am not talking about a physical object. Anything other than the subject is giving happiness to the subject. Therefore, the worldly pressures are Vishayika Sukha. There is a Vishaya means an object in the happiness. It can be mental happiness, it can be physical happiness, it can be, imaginary happiness. Whatever may be that. All of them have got a object or a content which is separate from the subject which is enjoying the happiness. Therefore, is the happiness of Ishvara also something similar which is being told? You are talking about Paramanandam. The answer is that the word Upadeshtaram is stated in the scripture. He is in the 1323, the Kshetrajna Yoga Nama, the word Upadeshtaram, Ishwaram, is coming there. Which means he is the instructor and the teacher. One who teaches the bliss of the self, Atma Sukha, through the mediation of an Acharya or a Guru. We are not familiar with the bliss of Paramanandam in our ordinary transactional world. But when one teacher, were like the Jagat Guru Sri Krishna or Acharya Shankara or Vidhyaranya Swami, like that, when the teacher teaches us the bliss of the self, Paramanandam, it is functioning through a Guru. Acharya Dwarat Atma Sukha Upadeshakam Chidrupam Ityartaha. Acharya Dwara, through the medium of a Guru. Atma Sukha Upadeshakam. Atma Sukha, the nature of bliss of the self. Upadeshakam means he is the way in which it is being taught by the Guru. And what is that? Chit Rupa Mityartaha. And he is the nature of consciousness, Chit Rupa, not inert Jada. That is why Satchidanandam Brahma or Satchidanandam, when it is being taught from the Guru, he is talking as the Upadeshtaram, as a teacher himself, that is why Ishwaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Beda Vivagine, when we chant that, Ishwara, Guru, Atma, the three, Murti Beda Vivagine, even though it is appearing as the three in the embodiment, divided, Jnana Prakashena, when the knowledge arises, they all become one. There is no differentiation between Ishvara, Guru and Atma or myself. This is what is being taught in the Upadeshtaram Ishwaram in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 13 verse number 23. Upadeshtam Anumanta cha Bharata Bhude Maheshwaraha. There the Maheshwara is the Upadeshta in that verse particular. This means he is not a passive object like all our sensual pleasures and everything, but he is a conscious instructor, embodiment of happiness, bliss, with his inner bliss shining on the students from the self himself. That is why when we say that Acharya should be that Brahmavit or, Tad Vijnanartam sa Gurumeva Abhigacche Samitpani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So that is why this importance of Shastra and the teacher is very much in the Advaita. So only such a teacher who has this bliss experienced in as his own nature can be benevolent, encompassing the peace, and his teaching and his words will be so peaceful and imparting bliss on Shravana Matrena. By mere hearing that, you feel elated that you are now knowing the Atma or Brahman. That is the capacity of such a teacher. Therefore, this Upadeshta is another adjective for given. Sriharim Paramanandam Upadeshtaram Ishwaram. Now, Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham is the second line. So, Nanu Kevala Anandasya Katam Upadeshtru Ityada Haha Isham Iti Ishte Asau Ishwaraha Vijitra Shaktitvat Sarva Samartaha Tam Namami Anvayaha. So here, Nanu Kevala Anandasya Katam Upadeshtatvam Ityada. There is doubt being asked. How can one who is pure bliss alone be an instructor? That question is that if it's a bliss nature, if he's on a happiness cannot instruct anything. But you are saying he is an instructor. So for the answer is Isham Iti. To this doubt, the word Isham means the Lord. Upadeshtaram Ishwaram. That word, Ishte Asau Ishwara Vijitra Shaktritvat Sarva Samartaha, means he is Ishwara, the one who governs, controls or wills. Ishte Asu Ishwara. That is because his diverse powers, Vijitra Shaktitvad, all capable, Sarva Samartaha. Therefore, he is all potential with omnipotency and omnisciency he can be the instructor, bestower of the knowledge, and remover of ignorance. And when the remover of the ignorance, tam namami iti anvayaha. When such a person, teacher, when removes the ignorance, he is not imparting the happiness from him to the student. When the ignorance is removed, the happiness is the nature of the student which he realizes himself. He has the Aparokshanubhuti of his own nature, which is the infinite bliss in himself. This is what is the Guru doing, and not the Guru is passing on the peace which he is having to the student. No. Imagine you are carrying a heavy load on your head and you are tired. And when you are tired and walking this thing, after some time, somebody comes and takes help, say that, okay, don't. Now give it to me, let me carry it for some time. Or he helps you to put it down, to keep it down. When you keep that heavy load down, the release of the load from you from the head gives you a feel of relaxation and happiness. That happiness was there with you all the time. But when the load was there on you, the load was not making you happy. But you had to carry the load and deliver it somewhere. So you were carrying it. The benevolent person comes and helps you to keep it down or keep it on a wall for the time being so that you can relax. Now, when you relax, the happiness what you get, it has not been imparted by the person who came and helped you to unload it on a wall. It was there very much in you. It came up because the load was removed. Same way, when Ishvara, Srihari, Paramanandam becomes the Upadeshtaram through the Guru, when the teaching is being done, the ignorance which is the load on us for not knowing our happiness, when it is eradicated from us, the happiness is, our nature is realized by us. That is the Aparokshanubhuti. To such a teacher, Sri Hari, Namami, I bow down, is the first verse of this. But then there is that one aspect. Upadeshtaram Isharam, Karanam Sarvalokanam. That has to be explained. So, evamapi parichinnatvat gadadivat atma gadadivat anatmatvam syad ityataha aha vyapakam iti. So, even though due to being limited, parichinnatvad, gadadivadan anatman syad ityataha, the notion of self as identical to the pot or other forms is asserted. That is gadadivat anatmatvam. Non-self, anatmatvam, not the self. The notion of the non-self is identical to the pot. For the answer is vyapakam iti swa satta prakashabhyam nama rupe vyapnoti. Here it is said that the pervasive nature of the name and form through the illumination of self-existence, it is due to the self-existence in the items, it is capable of adorning nama and rupa, or the name and the form. The name and form independently cannot exist. That is swasatta prakashatvat. Because of the very nature of existence as one's own existence or anything's existence. That is why Nama Rupe Vyapnodi, that is extended into the name and form. The existence is of the nature of existence itself. But when an object is being perceived in the name and form, the existence is pervading the name and the form. So we feel the name is existing, the form is existing, they are permanent. No, they don't have a permanency. What is the permanency is only the existence of the subject or the object which is being seen. The name and form doesn't have the permanency. Tavyapakattam parichedakasya desakala kaladehe mayikatvad anantam ityartaha. Swavyapakatvam, the all-pervading one, parichedakasya, which is limited by the desakala kaladehe, by the space and time, it is getting limited, is due to unreal Maya. Maya, which is not real. Maya is not a it is a avastu, not existing. Thus, its nature is infinite. Whose nature? The nature of existence is infinite. But due to Maya, it is a feeling of limited due to space and time. Therefore, what happens is that this limitation, which implies in our perception and understanding, the self is mistakenly identified for the form like anything like pot, etc. Brahman or Atman is misinterpreted as individual forms in the material world due to the Maya. It is said that what is pervading it, only Brahman is pervading. But we think that the Nama Rupa is the reality. Therefore, we think that Nama Rupa as the whole existence. That is why it is the illusory perception of Nama Rupa in the non-self, which is giving rise to the avidya, and that avidya is when transcended due to the teaching of the teacher, the happiness becomes our nature. Nanu, I think we'll stop here. Oh, no, one more line is there, let me complete it. Nanu, vyapya vyapaka bhave nanatvam siddhyam ityataha sarvalokanam karanam abhinna nimitta upadi ityartaha satyatyanam anandam atmana atmanam abhisamvishesha ityadi shrutehe. What is it saying? That there is an objection. What is that? Due to the relation of the pervade and the pervasor, vyapya vyapaka sambandha. What is vyapya vyapaka? Atma is that the existence is getting pervaded in the object, and therefore the names and forms are also pervaded with the existence. There is the vyapya vyapaka sambandha, means the pervaded and the pervader is then infinitude is not established. And then it cannot be infinitude, because whatever is pervading or pervader is there, then there is a limitation between the two. Anyonya limitation will come. Mutual limitation. For that, the scripture says, Sarvalokanam karanam iti. It is the cause for everything in this world. Abhinna nimitta upadanam ityartha. What does it mean? Abhinna means non-separate, non-different, efficient and material cause. We know for a pot to be made, there should be an efficient cause as a potter and material cause as the mud. But there is no difference in this world which is being created by Maya as a intelligent creator, and he is using a material which is separate for creating the world. Therefore, abhinna nimitta upadana karanatvad. There is no way you can separate Eka Brahman. There is only one Brahman, which is now Atma and Anatma, as Atma and Anatma is due to Upadhi Veda, due to the instrument which we are associating. Therefore, we cannot bring in a separation like the case of a potter and a pot being made from the mud. This is supported by the Shruti. Why? The Taittiriya Upanishad which we studied. Satya Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The Brahman is Satya Jnanam Anandam and Atmana Atmanam Abhisamvidesha. The Atman is entering Atma. That is Tat Trishtva Tatevanu Pravishat. It is in there in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Therefore, that doubt also that it cannot be an Upadeshtara or it can be also pervading like the Nama Rupa, all the objections have been answered by the Siddhanti or the Acharya. We'll stop it here and we'll take the next verse in the next Wednesday class. We will have the Sunday Q&A as usual. Oh, any questions? I'll take it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavada.
Thank you so much, Bindaji. See, we have someone up here already. Give us a moment. So I guess hand raising and chat are probably already open again for people to use. The purpose of the time that we have left is to focus on the very class that we just had today, to the best of our ability. General Advaita question and discussion is on Sundays at the same time at 8:30 p.m. IST. So anyone, please feel free to come up and we'll benefit from what you hear. Just be patient one moment here. No, maybe we go ahead to the first question and then I have some reflections on today's class. Please go ahead.
Satyavan?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, good evening everybody. I just wanted one question regarding Adi Shankaracharya Bhagavad-pada regarding Brahman Satyam Jagat Mithya Sabhi Maya hai. What is the exact objective meaning of Maya? Maya is Maya's illusion or a dream or anything else? Regarding exact clear, please give me the clear knowledge of that topic only. Maya. Exact. If you don't mind to take the meaning to in Malayalam, I am ready to easy to grasp that subject. That's right. Thank you.
Okay. Now the question of Maya. Maya is a explanation given for removing the ignorance for those who are thinking that I am the body, the world is different from me, I am enjoying the world, there is a Ishvara who is creator and I am the created. All those type of thoughts which are there from all of us. To remove that, Advaita brings in a terminology called Maya, so that what is Maya? The definition for Maya is Ya Sa Sa Maya. Ya Ma Sa Maya. That which is not there is called Maya. So, when something is not there, but is giving rise to a feeling or experience, the experience has to be also equally unreal. But when we have a reality to the experience, to remove the same experience which is unreal as being felt as real, a term which is unreal is being brought in, like a mathematical equation where x is brought and ultimately the x becomes 0. Same way, this Maya is non-existent vastu. Like ignorance. Ignorance is non-existent. We only have knowledge. The absence of knowledge is called the ignorance. Same way, the absence of the cause for my experiences which I think which is real from the unreal things, that thing which can cause is called Maya because that is not real. For example, the famous example which is used in Advaita is the non-existent snake giving rise to a real fear to a one who sees the snake on a rope. What is available is all the three times is the rope only. When it was there not being seen also it was rope. When it was seen as being seen as a snake also it is rope. When you know that it is not a snake, when it is real is also the rope. All the three, the rope has never become a snake. But for a moment, somebody thinks it as a snake and he gets scared. His fear, his after effects of the fear are all real for him. But what was the cause? The cause was the snake. Was the snake real? No. The snake was unreal. It was imaginary. Same way, this world what we are experiencing, as per Advaita, is not real. Why we are feeling the reality? Because we do not know what is the cause for the experiences which are reality. That cause is being called a Maya. And what is Maya? Maya is called the one which is not there, means the knowledge of the truth, Satyam Jnanam Anandam. That Satyam is not known. Therefore, the Jagat or the world and me in the world becomes real for me. Once you know what is the reality of the Satyam, the world also will become the reality. The world is not going to go anywhere. The world and the individual will remain as it is. But the truth will be known. For that, you should know what is the Satyam and how is the Satyam now being perceived as the world and me. And what is my reality when I realize? I will realize that the world is also like me. It is not what I thought I am. The world also will be what I know as I am. The world also becomes the same thing. This is what the whole Maya concept is all about. Atmisha?
Oh, sorry. I thought I was unmuted. Yeah, thank you, everybody. So we have a little bit of time left. If anyone would like to come up and discuss, you're very welcome to. I have something I could bring my own view forward on what happened today, but everyone else has priority. And so I'm not seeing any hands. I'm hesitant to use any of our time, but I'll give my reflection since I'm not seeing any hands. So, Binduji, what I'm going to say may be off point because I don't know, and maybe you don't even know where these classes for this particular text are going to go. But the way that I'm feeling about it, and today even more so, is that because Srini's going to come up. I can stop if you'd like, Srini, and just go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Mine is a
You
small
go ahead.
question. Yeah, mine
No,
is
you go ahead, Artemisha.
Okay.
You can go ahead.
Okay, because I try to.
I can extend my time.
Okay.
I can extend my
try
time.
to be very. Okay, I try to be very respectful of your need to end. There's this tendency. This is what I've observed over 40 years of spiritual involvement. There's a tendency to want to learn things, and there's a tendency to want to learn things that seem to be the important things. I've experienced this myself. So if we have a text like Taittiriya or Bhagavad Gita, there's a sense of it's really important for me to learn this. And while it's true that those texts are very full of important things, and I'm learning more and more, they may even be full of Sanskrit words that have really esoteric implied meanings that are incredible stepping stones on the spiritual path. It's also true that the teaching of Advaita, as I understand it, is that everything we're seeking is already present. And what I heard in your class today, Bindaji, that stuck with me, many things, but the affirmation that we are not separate from God. In fact, we are God, as the Mahavakyas say, and that the happiness that we may think we get from our guru, we don't get from our guru. We through that apparent relationship recognize that happiness within ourselves already. Everything's present. And that in a very real sense, I can speak as someone who did not always have immersion in Indian culture, for instance, that it can be an avoidance to be looking around in books and learning what a particular Upanishad says X, Y, and Z. It can be a distraction from the deepest, again, correct me if I use the words wrong, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but the deepest nididhyasana. And that in a text like this, I'm ending now, I feel, Bindaji, some of us who have been with you for several years, like Srini and others, we have a chance to break back into the kind of discussions we were having a year or two ago, where we're directly ourselves questioning the most basic aspects of Advaita, because basic isn't just a beginning in Advaita. I feel like basic is also the end, to understand and realize these most basic things. So I'm really happy to just hear these philosophical and actual truths being stated by you outside of the various stories that are in the Upanishads. I find it very very encouraging if we're actually here to try to find out what we are, as opposed to learn a bunch of things and put it in our spiritual bank account. So, and you're welcome to say whatever you want in response, Bindo. And sorry, Srini, I knew that would go on a bit, so take the time you need. We're closing hand raising now, so Srini, you should take all the time you want.
Well, Artemisha, your observations are perfect, and it's in the right place. I have nothing more to add to it. But one thing which I want to add on to it is that, as you rightly said, the basic questions are not the basic questions. They are the very fundamental questions everyone should ask. We may think it is basic. Like for example, who am I? It may appear to be a very basic, simple question, but that is the beginning and the end, where you end when you learn all these Upanishads and the texts which is being taken here. And the job of a teacher is to narrate and explain it. But how much you are listening, how much is becoming yours, will all depend upon the quality of the mind with which you are listening and absorbing it. So for that, when this absorption takes place, you will know what level or what conditions you are. If you are listening it as an inquisitive person, not willing to accept, doesn't matter. At least start with that. But when you proceed in the route, when the answers are coming with logic and applicable to our own experiences, this inquisitive nature of the questions will become more clarifications rather than inquisitiveness. Clarifications means you want to apply this more into your own experiences, and through the experiences you want to realize it, because experience is all that we have got. But in that experience, right now what we are riddled with is the subject-object dichotomy and the qualities of the experiences. But the substratum for the subject, object and experience is never sought after or explained in any of the teachings we have in our mundane life or the worldly teaching. Therefore, when we are attending these classes, sometimes these type of texts which are fundamental in nature will be helpful for one to go to the basic questions and look again where we started our journey from. You are absolutely right. Whether it is 40 years or 4 hours doesn't matter, or 40 minutes. But the moment you are having the fire in your belly to know the truth, the journey is almost in the state of culmination, because that fire need to be put off. That fire can be put off only by yourself, because it's in your belly. To help that, the teaching helps. That's all the teacher can do. But you have to absorb it, make it yourself, and apply it yourself. Is it being talked about myself, my own experiences, or is it something which I can have to acquire? But one thing is what we keep on telling is that what is being built, created, will have to destroy. Because whatever has a birth has a death. Whatever is created will have a destruction. So here we are talking about something which is never created and which will never be destroyed, because that is your own nature. Because if you think you are the body, you know it had a creation. We are talking about something which is beyond the body, which knows the body. So the knowledge can never be built, created or destroyed. Only it can be transmitted. So that is what is happening in these classes. I don't know whether I touched upon your points or not. You can tell me that.
I'm sure what you said was perfect, Binduji, and I'm very happy with everything. Srini, please, I'm sorry that you're at the end, but go ahead, as Bindu said, and take all the time you want, please.
No problem, Atush. Yeah, thanks. So, Bindu, just quick question. I think at the end when we were talking about Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana, I think actually a new understanding kind of, I think till now I have been understanding it one way. Now actually I feel that the primary import or the intended meaning of the Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana is to say that there is never a creation. So do you think that is the primary import or the intended meaning of using such a thing? Because earlier we used to think like ocean wave or this kind of those examples in a different way, right? So do you think the primary import could be that to propose that there is no creation ever or something like that?
Yeah, ultimately it is leading there, because Ajayamano Bahuda Vijayate, there is one, without being created, it appeared to be many, is one statement from Purusha Sukta. Or even if you look at the statement, Najayate Mriyate Va Kadachit, in the Bhagavad Gita, there is nothing which is born ever any time, or nor which is dying any time. So all this thing is ultimately, that is the thing. So Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana is terminology that non-differential material and intelligent cause is a term which is being used to bring in our experience, not what you call the creation has ever happened or not. What we thought as creation is only an appearance which is in the form of name and form. The substratum or the fundamental reality of everything is consciousness, existence consciousness. It is existent, and existence itself is consciousness. There is no separate consciousness from existence. They are, if anything is existent, it will have consciousness in it. That is what we are teaching about it. And when we know that that is the nature of Brahman, and what you are appearing is a name form, is a creation, and that creation will keep changing. What is given a name now, what is a lump of mud has got a name as a pot, or as a doll, or as a lamp. But the fundamental reality of the lamp doesn't go. It is mud. The fundamental reality of the doll doesn't go. It's mud. Like that, same way, the entire world is from Sat Chit, that is existence and consciousness. And that is what is the substratum on which we are attributing names. For example, even if you for a scientifically look at, are these things all electrons and protons and neutrons? Without electrons and protons and neutrons, there is nothing available in this world, whether it is organic or inorganic, scientifically also. So we have, material-wise, we say electron, proton, neutron. But Vedanta, Advaita has gone one step forward and advanced, saying that even the electron, proton, neutron has got existence and consciousness. That is why you are able to know it. You are knowing because it exists and it is knowing. That is why I use the word that it's transmitting consciousness. That consciousness which is getting transmitted to us becomes the reason why it becomes known to us, because we are also consciousness, the same consciousness. So, abhinna nimitta upadana karanam, as you rightly said, is ultimately leading to there is no creation as separate from the cause which is Brahman, which is Sat and Chit. That's all.
Yeah, because all these days I was more thinking it as a outward meaning, like it's like a pro-creationist kind of theory where there is a forward journey of consciousness to become like that. Generally, I think that is the popular take on it also. But now, after realizing this, then we are, at least I feel now I've reached a deeper meaning kind of thing.
Thank you, Srini.
Thank you, Binduji.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Prakash, may I go ahead and close out, or did you want to speak before I hand it over to Bindu?
I just wanted to thank Binduji and everyone for coming. We can close. Thank you, Binduji.
Okay, wonderful. We're a little bit over, but just to remind everybody that on Sundays at 8:30 p.m. IST, and that's 11 a.m. Eastern Time, wherever you are in the world, there's a more general Advaita discussion and Q&A to benefit with Binduji, and we'll continue classes Wednesday, Friday, same time. And aside from also here, there are replays on the YouTube channel called Advaita Retold. And again, it wouldn't be possible for this to be what it is if there weren't the listening panel. And hopefully over time with this text, people will come up and freely engage in the kind of more general clarification. Thank you so much for those who did that today. And Binduji, to close us out.
Thank you, Atmisha. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Satyavan and Srini, for the questions. Thank you all for being there. We'll continue this Aparokshanubhuti class on next Wednesday, same time. And as Artemisha said, any questions general in nature, we can discuss it on Sunday. And Sunday, I may be a bit late, maybe may not be, I can't say. But anyway, I'll be definitely coming. So we'll see it on Sunday. Okay. Thank you all. Hari Om.
Good night.
Hari Om.